thank you. It's great to be here. I need to start really, I think though, by apologising because I'm not really feeling on top form tonight. I know it's a little while now, but I've not really recovered since Mrs. Thatcher died. But what a party that was, eh? Oh, yes. Of course, everyone has been talking about Mrs. Thatcher. All the pundits have been on the news. And but I've not heard anyone say, something I noticed, at Mrs. T's funeral, that Mr. T wasn't there. I pity the fool who hasn't told him his mum's dead. But yeah, I've been debating Mrs. Thatcher with all my former mates. Been debating her record. Still can't believe it didn't get to #1, but there you go. But a mate of mine said to me, you know, Mrs. Thatcher, the thing you have to remember is she liked Marmite. Well, so what? Lots of people like Marmite. They don't use it as an excuse to decimate the manufacturing industry. But apparently he said, she's like Marmite, you know? You either love her or you hate her. No, I'm not having that either. I mean, to me, a jar of Marmite's a bit like the Bible. Everyone's got one in a cupboard somewhere, but nobody ever uses it. So, yeah, I didn't buy into that whole love-hate Marmite thing. I mean, am I the only one here who just thinks Marmite's alright? Yeah, I mean, it's not a very good slogan when you think about it, is it? It should really be, well, Marmite. You either hate it or you don't. But then that's true of most things, isn't it? So, not that good a slogan. Yeah. Where was I going next? Marmite, you hate it or you don't. I mean, well, I'll give you an example. I don't hate cats. Yeah? I don't love them either. Well, not since the caution. Which is a shame, because I know some pretty tasty pussies. Well, got away with that one, did I, Kate? Alright, there. So yeah, not a lover of animals in general, really, apart from bees. Quite like bees. Got any bee fans in? Hey, bees are great. Just won a big battle in the EU, the bees. They banned the pesticide that's reducing bee populations across the world. Brilliant stuff, because I don't know if you know, but bees bring us a lot of benefits, which is pretty good when the government are cutting most of them. So, really into bees. Actually met my wife due to bees. She used to work on a bee farm. And the first time I ever clapped eyes on her, I thought to myself, she's a keeper. But I don't know why people are so scared of bees. I mean, if you do get stung by a bee, best thing to do is just not buy anything off one again. Don't call trading standards, they're not interested. I mean, why would anyone be scared of anything with Bumble in its name? Now, the only bees that you do need to be scared of are rabies, the hepatitis bee, and zombies. But apart from that, you should be fine. But everyone thinks that I'm really into animals. I think it's because I look like Paddy off Emmerdale. I shouldn't actually be telling you this, but I have actually appeared on Emmerdale a few times. I've done some stunt work for Paddy. Every time you see him stick his hand up a cow's backside, yeah, that's my arse. But he's got a very gentle touch for a big fella. Now, why do people say that? He's got a gentle touch for a big fella. As if just because I'm fat and bald, I'm like one of those costumes on It's a Knock. No, we can't do It's a Knockout jokes anymore. I'm just one of those lumbering brutes with no opposable thumbs. I mean, I do forget what size I am. I've not always been fat and bald. And I catch myself in the mirror sometimes, and yeah, maybe I could be a bit of a scary sight down a dark alley. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I can handle myself. Not in that way. I can handle myself, but to be honest, if you did meet me in a situation like that, all you'd have to do is run away, because I couldn't catch you. I just best explain something about that last joke. If there is anyone in tonight who isn't from the north and is of a sensitive disposition, when I said the line, "couldn't catch you," that was, I could not catch you, shortened to I couldn't catch you, and then mankified to couldn't catch you. I definitely didn't drop the C-bomb. Talking of dropping inappropriate bombs, that new North Korean fella, Kim Jong-un, if he does drop a bomb on the South, I think he'll have a very short career. Let's hope he's just doing rhetoric, even if you can't say it. But no, where was I? Don't love animals. Don't really like soap operas, even though I've been in Emmerdale. I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the soaps. I get that from my dad. He doesn't like soap either. He was a wicked drunk when I was growing up. Alco pop, we used to call him. But no, he's. Do you remember that advert? Take 2 bottles into the shower. He thought that was a great idea. At least it did get into Walsh. Of course, he's in prison now. He's not really dead. Of course, he's in prison now, and well, if anything, he's gone off having showers again for some reason, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. But he has met some interesting people. He was sharing a cell with someone convicted of a minor terrorist offence recently. There's a guy worked for the local council. He was found with 300 computer discs in his possession with terrorist plans on. I know, discs? What, was he going to attack the early 90s? Gee. But at least there's a job going now. At the council, I mean, not terrorist. Although, you can't be too choosy these days, and it is something of a boom industry. It's a job some people just can't turn down, because they stop your benefits. But not easy to get laughs out of terrorism. It is one of the most unfortunate isms, along with cannibalism and journalism. Oh, we've not got any journalists in tonight? No? Okay. Which got me thinking, all these stories and journalists about the dear old Daily Mail, God bless her. Gets herself in some terrible scrapes, does the Daily Mail. That headline a few weeks ago that implied that being on benefits was just one step away from being a murderer. I mean, if you apply that logic, you'd have to say, just because of what Jimmy Savile did, that every 1970s TV personality was some kind of sex offender. I did get myself thinking about the Daily Mail though. If an asylum seeker blew up a packed post office on Gyro Day, whose side would the Daily Mail be on? Well, I think about things like that. But of course, not easy to get laughs out of terrorism, so we'll stop there. George Osborne, though, he did come out. George Osborne did come out in support of this Daily Mail headline. It was disgraceful, but he got away with it, didn't he? He got away with it because Mrs. Thatcher conveniently died just after he'd said it. Well, I suppose the funeral turned out to be a very good day to bury bad news. But then George put his foot in it again, didn't he? He parked in a disabled parking space. Who does he think he is, eh? Tell you what, George, if you want to park in a disabled spot legitimately, My mate Big Jim can fix it for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't think that joke about maiming someone for just using a disabled parking space was quite sick enough, so I added the subtle Jimmy Savile reference in at the end. Of course, Sir Jimmy, we still have to call him that apparently, he's now reunited with the great love of his life, Mrs. Thatcher, so we've come full circle. They're down there now, reminiscing about the good old days when they were both screwing well, you can guess what the end of that one is. I'll just leave you with this, as a good way to exit the stage. Have you ever noticed when people in a gig like this, they perhaps want to nip to the loo, or they perhaps want to go to the bar, but if they pretend they've got osteoporosis, they think no one can see them. I've been Mike Walsh. Good night.
Massive round of applause for Mike Walsh there. Fantastic stuff. Well done.